Hello and welcome to day 2 of Adventures in Tarot Casting. It is June 2nd and this is the second installment in this series. Yesterday I talked a little bit about the origin story of the deer that I had and the deer board and took you through that video. And today, and I did mention this casting book, so I just wanted to show you this a little bit before I get to the spread that I chose for today. So it's a little big, so it doesn't fit completely in the frame, but I'll show you sideways. See, it's this. I've colored my cover, but if you get it, the cover is blank so that you can use your own paint markers and draw your own stuff on it, or even put stickers or whatever. So like mine, as you can see, I have stickers in here, but basically this is the board that spawned, or book that spawned a lot of the ideas of wanting the portability option for our casting boards. And as you can see, as you flip through the pages, you know, there's a space for writing codexes out from your decks. I've only filled in one. You know, sometimes I make these tools and I don't always use all the things that are available. I did go deep dive with my charm casting, but so basically this book has a compilation of a lot of our spreads. So like there's the grand tableau, and then on the opposing face, it tells you a little bit about it and a little bit how to use it. When I created this board, I didn't have the color casting boards yet, so a lot of they're all just outlines, but the reason for that is to invite you into color your own, you know, like I want people to use this book as like a sketchbook too, because it is a sketchbook that we have added our own touches to. Let's see if I can find a page that shows you how I was coloring one of them, and then I'll get to the one that I have bookmarked for today. This I created my own spread for around Valentine's Day. Oh, here you go. Here's one of the ones. So here's the Moth Daily casting board, and I started coloring in the moths, and then I added a bunch of stickers that I had drawn of moths. So that's just to kind of show you. So I've chosen the Hands of Fate board for today. So as you can see at the top here, I have the placements of how I like to add the tiles or the cards and all that. I didn't really give placements. I want to empower people to do, you know, to connect with it in their own unique way. I did add the color version of the board, so I'm just going to flip it over like this. But to show you, because when I drew this board, I knew it was going to be a casting board. The spaces are in there, so they're a little bit smaller. Here's the actual casting board. You can see how it's just a tiny bit bigger than the page. But it still works. It still works at this size. So I'm going to use the sticker page because I really like that. You know, I like the uniformity of it. I'm going to just throw that in there. So this particular board, I was inspired to create it just because I really like hands. I've always actually struggled drawing hands, so it's ironic that I just completed a whole deck of hands, but we learn through practice, right? Like practice makes progress, and I just finished reading a book and one of the lines said practice makes permanent, because what that does is it helps our muscle memory know the curves of certain lines. That's why some people have like a really flowy style when they come to draw, or when they have like real rigid. It's because whatever is most comfortable in the action of drawing, that becomes part of your muscle memory, right? So I just really love hands, and I was like, I wanted to draw it so that the cuff looked like a crystal. So on this side, of course, I have these amethysts, and then on this side I have this teal sort of aquamarine crystal. I'm pretty sure they don't actually make formations like this in the real world, but hey, it's my art. I can do what I want. On the hands, if you look at the artwork that I put, a lot of my art has layers and symbolism hidden within it. So on this hand, we've got the fire and the water. So you can see the flames going up the thumb and then the water coming from the back of the hand. And then on this one, we have the mountains and the wind. So I have all elements, right? I have the earth, air, and fire, water. And then I also have the symbols up in the corners in these little tiny mandalas. I knew too that when I was drawing this, that it was going to be a very balanced board. You know, I have the 3 main card placements, and then I have the tile placements up here, and then the tile placements down here. And I thought it would be really neat to do some moon phases. And the reason I chose the moon phases is because moon phases are always popular, and they also nod to the cycles in our own life, right? So above, we have this full moon. And when you look at this stuff, you think about what happens on a full moon. Things are illuminated, right? Illuminated so much that we know that we can release them. Let me see if I can get the light a little better. There we go. So when I do this, it's kind of like a nod to what needs to be released. And then the new moon, with this down here, it's what are we trying to manifest? What new seeds of opportunity are we manifesting? So that's kind of the groundwork for this particular spread. The circles can be used as portals, or a circle, like you could use crystals here. They could also be used, because the portal tiles that I have are the 2 inches round, like the bigger ones, the normal size, so they fit like right up in here, you know. So that's kind of like that, and then you could do the thing. So I think I am going to actually use some portals with this, because why not, right? So let me take you through a reading using this board. I really hope, so I know it's only day 2, but I hope you're enjoying this series, because I really am. And I am using my actual, my real prototype of Out of Hand Tarot today for the 3 placements. So with this, I'm going to sit down and get comfy, have a sip of coffee, and let's get to it, shall we? So the central focus for this, shuffle a little bit for the reading. And what I do with this is I always lay the center card down first. Like, it's just what makes me most comfortable. I think it's a layover from learning Lenormand and really liking the idea that here's your central focus, and then this is what came before, and this is what comes next. You know, how I do a reading does not dictate how you need to do it. If you're more comfortable going da, 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 that's fine. But you'll see why for this particular spread, I like to do it in that way. So here's the center card. Cut my deck. 1, 2, 3. There's no right or wrong way to shuffle. This is just how I've been doing it through the years, and it's what's most comfortable for me. So, I mean, you could probably read a lot of stuff online about it, and there you're gonna get tons of different answers. So the central energy is that 7 of Swords, right? So the 7 of Swords is a very, I'm gonna say controversial card. I don't know if controversial is the word. Yesterday, my dear friend V of Red Light Readings pulled it during an unboxing, and she said that the 7 of Swords has audacity, and I love that. I was like, because it does, right? So in this particular deck, the 7 of Swords, the hand placements are going like this, and it's actually copying content from somebody else's work that they've put a lot into, and pasting it into their own. It's plagiarism, it's sneakiness, it's getting away with something behind closed doors. 7 of Swords is that aspect that is like, are you being thieved from, or are you the one doing the thieving? Where's the sneakiness? Sometimes sneakiness is needed in order to do something, but it's usually a card of just kind of be on the lookout, right? Like all things are not as they seem. I actually drew that card because of all the, plagiarism came to mind for the theme of the 7 of Swords for Out of Hand, because of all the clones that we're experiencing on social media, right? So that's that central focus. So then we go, okay, well, what do we need to know about this 7 of Swords? What do we need to know about this energy of taking what's not ours, or somebody taking from us, So I look at it like this. On one hand, ta-da, we have the 5 of Swords. And when we look at that, the 5 of Swords, to me, these cards are very similar. So the 5 of Swords tells me that we're only cheating ourselves when we do this, right? Like, if you're not putting in your own work and you're making it seem, and you're trying to pass off something else as yours, you're cheating yourself, because the truth always comes out. This card, somebody cheating on a test, We all know when somebody does that, it throws the whole curve. And you didn't learn the information, right? So on one hand, that is the negative aspect of it, right? Like, these sides aren't necessarily negative or positive, but if the card shows up as kind of like a, hey, this is this undercurrent, then pay attention to that. But on the other hand, we've got the Three of Cups, right? So maybe this person is doing this so that they can finish their project faster. Like, they're cheating time. They're trying to get out of it so that they don't have to really put in the work, because they have other things they'd rather be doing. They'd rather be hanging out with their friends, their community, celebrating, you know, or celebrating the fact that they did something that wasn't necessarily theirs, but now they're getting some credit for it. So you can see how those three cards like play off the first card. You know, you can see if you were to do it like in Lenormand, where you mirror these two cards and you do the Five of Swords with the Three of Cups, it's kind of like, did you do this just so you could get out of, you know, I also see the Five of Swords as like walking away from those aspects of yourself that you no longer, that's no longer necessary, right? In order to go and get to what you'd rather be doing. That's kind of what I just feel about this. It's like cheating time to get to do the things. It's our priorities, right? So then with this, now we've got these spaces above, right? So we're gonna go with the portals first, and we're gonna do the full moon. So what do we need to think about releasing? And we have the cardinal. And then what do we want to be planting, manifesting? And we have the cat. So the cardinal right away, you know, what's coming to mind with that is I see a bird, they can fly. So it's kind of like putting in that effort to be able to take off and go do your own thing. But also these particular, you know, cardinals to me are attachments to our ancestors. They are messengers, perhaps. I see them whenever I think about, you know, loved ones that pass, but they're also very loyal. They're mated couples. So it's like releasing what we're loyal to and what we're attached to, right? In order to plant the seeds for mystery and curiosity and, you know, making that space to really perhaps do something a little bit more that feeds like, oh, what am I thinking about? Whenever I see the cat, I always think about how agile they are and how like they do have that sneaky feel. Sometimes you don't even know they're there until they pounce. But it's planting the seeds of curiosity, right? So we're releasing the attachments to perhaps those beliefs that we've had in order to rekindle some mystery. And maybe the person who is doing this, like if this is us, if we're wanting a new project, but we don't know how to start it, sometimes the easiest way to start a new project is to copy somebody else. But don't put it out there in the world as if it's your own. Sometimes we learn through copying, but we have to be able to learn how our voice is going to come out of that. You know, a lot of things in this life have already been done, but it doesn't give us the right to put that stuff out there as our own. So the lesson perhaps is like seeking our friends to help us get through these blockages, you know? So the Lenormand that is gonna help us give advice on how to release these attachments, because this is the full moon part up here. So this is about release. And we have lily and tree. So those go up here. And then for planting seeds and manifesting, I'm gonna put that way. I like to put all this stuff out first because I like to talk it through, and sometimes they lead into each other. But for the purpose of these demonstrations, I'm, you know, talking through it. So we have the garden and birds. All right, so the message from Lenormand to help us with these familial attachments or these perhaps inherited systems that we do, we've got lily and tree. And in Lenormand, it's actually kind of funny because lily does talk about connections to our elders, and then tree is that, you know, the growth period. So we can acknowledge that this is just part of who we were and who we are, and they've made up who we are today. It's part of our origin story, but it's our job. No two trees are going to grow in the same way. So the lily is telling us to be patient with ourselves in this process and know that what we're branching out to do is for our growth in all realms, in health and spirituality, just planting those roots in order to really like reach for the sky, you know. So to release is to accept and also to continue to grow. To manifest our curiosity and to really plant those seeds of what we wish to go into, you know, that the new magic in our lives, we've got garden and birds, and it's talking with our community, which brings us to this Three of Cups, right? Really listening perhaps to any gossip that's going around, finding out where you might feel a little bit nervous and anxious about it. And is it coming from the community, or is it coming from just, you know, is it coming from the feelings of perhaps being in that Seven of Swords and that sneaky energy, and talking it out with your community, you know, because the garden to me is like, it's community. It's always like the meeting place. It's when we meet up, it's very akin to the Three of Cups, but then the birds is that chatter, like the way we talk to each other. It's also about vocalizing things. It can also be gossip, you know, so, but the gossip definitely ties in with this Seven of Swords and the Five of Swords, because it's going, well, why do we feel the need to do this? And maybe it's things that we've heard, or maybe we need to talk it through with our friends, you know. So that shows you how I use these placements on this board. I have to admit, it's always a little bit more challenging when you get like a couple negative cards, but life isn't always unicorns and rainbows. We grow through these cards because we have to take a deep look at the swords when that happens, our mental realm, our communications. Are we having a communication breakdown? When we are, we need to follow our heart and go be with those people who fill our cups, right? And we can talk about our concerns and where we want to go next. So for this one, I'm going to use those dice that I mentioned yesterday for our points to ponder. And you can just put them in the corners if you want, or you can use the elements. You know, we can be like air, water, fire, and earth, and use the keywords. Maybe I'll do that just to show you what I mean. So I just shuffle them a little, and then I just let one drop, one drop, one drop, and one drop. And so with air, which is the realm of communication, our mental thoughts, logic, reason, we have why. When I see that, I think question your thoughts, question your belief system. It's this, you know, today, before you react to anything, ask yourself why you feel it might need to be reacted to. Water, we have ground. So that's kind of, you know, cancels each other out, right? Like they're both passive. Water is more like the emotional realm. So we have to ground ourselves when it comes to our emotions and our relationships. You know, if you're really grounded in that, then to me, that says that you know where you stand when it comes to matters of your heart. So just make sure that you're grounded in that, and it will help you with any of these reactionary things that could be going on. Fire, we have hydrate. This is hilarious. So we've got the ground with the water and the water with the fire. So hydrate when you're feeling burnt out, you know, when the fire is maybe getting too much for you, take a step back and feed your soul, like do something that nourishes your body to bring you back into that now. So it's, yeah, definitely hydrate yourself. I would suggest water when you are feeling a little bit on fire or burnt out. And ground, we have leave. So when things in the physical world become a little bit too much, take a trip, go somewhere. You know, it's okay to leave the house. It's okay to go for a break if you're at a job. It's okay, like the earthly realm in tarot we know as pentacles or coins talks about our physical body, our wealth, our house, job. So when any of those things feel like they're a little bit too much, it's okay to leave in that moment, you know, leave in order to regroup. So that is this reading. Not all the videos will be as long as yesterday's. Yesterday's was definitely an introduction, a little bit about me and the systems that I use. And I'm really excited to do these series with you because even though some of the boards will have very similar placements, the way I read with them is different, and you're going to get a different reading every time because you never know which players are going to join in on the boards, right? So I knew, going back to yesterday, I knew that when this board shows up, that it's going to be about looking at both sides of a story, you know, on one hand and on the other is kind of how I look at that. So I know I don't have to go into a meditative zone. I don't have to light my candles. I don't have to do anything because the stage has already been set. And that way I can just show up, you know, with the eye, making us take a deeper, closer look at that central card. And that's where you see the on one hand and on the other. So let me know if you really enjoy this board. Again, the book has it just line work so that you can color it to your own will. Maybe you like green crystals or yellow ones or whatever. Or we have the stickers that can go in the books. And we also have the casting boards with the color on them if you want something a little bit more rigid. And again, this is just an 11 by 14 book. So if you don't need all my words and all my stories, you could just get the sticker and start creating your own tarot journal. And I have this sticker for both books. In the smaller one from yesterday, the 9.5 by 11, I've added a couple, like a border, and made it be the full page. So just to show you a little bit different of the artwork and how it shows up. So again, let me know in the comments if it resonated. If you have any questions about this spread, definitely let me know. I will do my best to answer them in the next video. And I hope you have a nice day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.